Hello trainers and welcome back to another video with Project Artemis. I'm Riley and today I'm joined by my friend Joseph, who has just come off of a very impressive top 4 finish at the Anaheim World Championships in the seniors division, and he's just recently aged up to the masters division and he's already locked up his worlds invite from his performance at the worlds in the previous season. So very happy for him. Super excited to get some testing in for the upcoming Toronto Regional Championships, as we will be learning together how the Dawn Charizard versus Gardevoir matchup plays out after the results of the recent Stuttgart Regional Championships. So this Dawn Charizard deck has just won the first major tournament in the Phantasmal Flames format, and so I'm very excited to try it out. So I have been playing Charizard for quite some time now, and I recently got a 75th place at the Latin America International Championships with a Lily's Charizard deck in the Mega Evolutions format. So I'm super excited to try out this new version, and it plays really different from what I'm used to. In fact, I actually have yet to play a Noctowl deck to a tournament with real cards. So this is pretty new and exciting for me. But this Dawn card actually is really strong in this deck specifically, because with Charizard, the main thing you want to do is just get your Pidgeot and your Charizard set up as soon as possible, and Dawn lets you kind of do that by getting the stage 1, stage 2, and a basic Pokemon to set up for future turns as well. However, the reason that Dawn is such a high value supporter in this deck is because the stage 1 that you can often grab with this supporter is Noctowl, and the Noctowl one, with a combination of grabbing a Terapagos as your Terra, plus a Noctowl, plus a stage 2 that you might need, allows you to also grab 2 additional trainer stage from your deck. Any 2 trainer cards, as long as you have a Terra Pokemon in play. So yeah, it just turns your Dawn into get 3 Pokemon plus 2 trainers, and that combination of cards lets you put together so many insane combos that you previously maybe had to work a little bit harder for, or had to get lucky to draw into with Lily, but maybe why be lucky when you can just guarantee it with Noctowl. So props to Oscar Madsen for building this deck that ended up winning the Stuttgart Regionals. So yeah, getting into this game here, we see Joseph is setting up and previously attached to the Pheasantipity, and is now probably going to go into an item lock turn. But since I didn't get item lock turn 1, I was able to actually set up quite well with my items. I was able to make the Pidgeot without needing to put the Pidgeotto in here. And actually I made a little bit of a mistake here. Expecting that he's going to item lock me next turn, I actually should have candied the Charizard while I had the chance with that Noctowl. Instead, I decided to just put the Fan Rotom in the active and set up some energies there. But actually, I think it was quite a terrible play, because now I'm getting item locked. It's going to be really hard for me to set up a Charizard. And additionally, since this deck only plays 1 Charmeleon, it's going to mean that if I want to knock out this Frillish with a Charizard, I will have to evolve the Charmeleon up, which makes me more susceptible to TM Devolution later in the game, or can be harder for me to set up following Charizard EXs. So I should have taken that one set that I had to set up a Rare Candy Charizard, and then I would have been able to evolve Charmeleon onto my bench for future to have just a really strong board. Instead, I decided to push the Fan Rotom for some reason. I'm not sure why I did that, because then I also had to discard an extra Noctowl as well when he bumped my Stadium. So that was pretty bad. Luckily, we still have Dusclops, we have Charmeleon, we have our Pidgeot, so we can still do a lot of things. Definitely still a great spot to be in. And yeah, looks like Joseph is now setting up to item lock me more. He just needs to develop his board a little bit more. And yeah, what I'm thinking here on the next turn is actually this item lock doesn't even do anything, since I already have the Charmeleon and Dusclops in play, because I'm able to go Dawn for Dusknoir and Charizard, and then I can potentially sorry, not Dawn, get the Pidgeot, use the Pidgeot to get the Dusknoir, and then evolve the Charizard in my hand, and then I can quick search for boss's orders or use a Noctowl if I need to then search for Joseph of the Kirlia and the Gardevoir EX from play, and this will just give me a lot of time to reestablish and kind of maybe run away with the game if he doesn't get ahead. And see, now I am down to 2 prize cards, and I can't quite win the game on the next turn because I'm down both of my boss's orders after using one on my first attack with the Phantasmal and then using one this turn, and he's most likely going to go into the item lock this turn, so I can't use my Prime Catcher, which means I can't knock out the Phantasmal, and I also can't recover any Dusknoir pieces when I can't item lock. So yeah, we're going to have to take 2 more turns to win this game, and it seems extremely likely for Joseph to be able to make any sort of comeback here. However, we talked it out a little bit, and he does have a line which involves getting some more monkeys down and Mega Diancie plus Iono after the next turn, because I won't be able to knock out the Mega Diancie when he is still at 4 or 5 prizes. And another thing to note as well is I can't candy another Charizard into play while I'm being item locked, and my Charmeleon is already underneath this Charizard, which also punishes me from not candying that Charizard when I had the 1 turn of item lock earlier in the game, because now if I get Iono'd and he's able to knock out my Pidgeot with Diancie, there's a chance I could whiff. So let's see how this plays out. I get item lock 1 more turn, and I can't play any items, of course. There's really no Pokemon that I can establish either with this Dawn. Like, I can grab a Noctowl and just set up more like Area 0 and then get more Pokemon down this turn. I think the play that I'm thinking of here actually is I wanted to remove the Fan Rotom from play and also set up a Pheasantipity, so that if I get if the Pidgeot does get knocked out, I'll have at least some draw power on the board. Whereas if I just have nothing and no, like, just 1 Hoodoo in play, it's gonna be pretty unlikely for me to just draw a Noctowl after the Iono. So yeah, getting the Fez down, I have Pidgeot, and I Blustery Wind my Area 0 that I just put in play to remove the Fan Rotom, which is actually really good attack. I love using Blustery Wind whenever I can. It's the only way you can actually remove the Area 0 with this deck, since we only play Area 0 as our own stadium move, and sometimes it can be really good to remove those liabilities, so good to keep in mind as an option. And here comes the Iono. So Joseph needs to find Diancie here, because anything else gets just knocked out by Charizard. And if the Pidgeot stays in play, then I can for sure almost guarantee a Candy Charizard. Also, if he goes for a double monkey knockout Charmander plus knockout my Charizard plan, then I'll have Pidgeot plus Quick Search for Prime Catcher to take my last prize card, which is another reason why I wanted to get 2 energies on this Pidgeot. Having multiple attackers established for if both scenarios, whether my Charmanders get board wiped or if my Pidgeot gets knocked out. Yeah. So okay, here comes the Diancie knockout on my Pidgeot, and I basically have exactly 2 cards that can win me the game, either Night Stretcher or Prime Catcher. And Dawn doesn't get me anything because all my guys are in the discard pile, my Dusclops and my Dusknoir, so I just have to play Iono and get the Night Stretcher for Dusclops off the top deck. That was extremely lucky there. Actually, I really think Joseph was favored in that situation. He made an insanely good comeback given the circumstances when both Gardevoirs had been knocked out. And actually, it was really interesting. I was explaining to him afterwards that I did prize my Prime Catcher, but he had actually 0 way of knowing that. So because I prized my Prime Catcher, if he had just knocked out my Duskull and ignored my Pidgeot, I would still have 0 way of winning that game, because Prime Catcher is not an option for me, and I can't go around the Diancie. So he'd have at least 1 more turn to close out the game there. But of course he wouldn't know that. So given the information he had, I think knockout Pidgeot plus Iono was for sure the best play. So getting into game number 2 here, Joseph opted to go first this time. I think we're just going to be alternating back and forth to see what feels good here. And my hand is actually really good. I have all the basics. I need, in fact, more basics than I can actually bench, which is a little bit sad that I don't have Area 0, but you know, it's fine. We'll be able to get some guys down, and it's actually, I'm trying to figure out here if I want to bench the second Charmander or if I just want to set up my board stronger with either a Duskull or another Hoot. I think it's a little bit weird here. I'm not really worried about my Charmander getting knocked out, so I think I can afford to bench another Hoodoo or a Duskull here. And if he doesn't get the Frillish on me somehow, then I can go crazy next turn. And his deck, I know, only has one Frillish, and he has a no attached to it on the previous turn, so he can go into a Frillish by retreating. But actually, he has a Candy Gardevoir play here with 3 Psychic Energy in the discard pile. So he has the option to knock out my Charizard with Miracle Force here and leave me with no attackers, no way to power up my Terapagos or no Charizard in play. The only I would have is a Fan Rotom. So if he doesn't bench any more Ralts, I can't take any prizes next turn if he goes for this Miracle Force play. So I start getting a little bit worried here, like, oh, maybe I should have benched the other Charmander. But actually, Joseph decides that he wants to go into the Frillish here, I believe. Instead, we talked it out a little bit. Like, I think he decided that going into Frillish, just slowing me down was the better plan here, because his board was a little bit less developed. I think he couldn't afford to get another Monkey Dory down, maybe not enough Pokemon in his hand, stuff like that. So yeah, just goes for that. Although I think he would have been in a fine spot to go with the Miracle Force here and then go into Frillish afterwards if I do bench another Charmander. I'm not quite sure how that would have played out, but either way, we're now under item lock with a Charmander in play. I'm quite happy that he didn't knock out my Charmander, because it means now I can evolve Noctowl with this Dawn. I can get Area 0 off the Noctowl and just get a bunch of stage 1s into play. And if he decides to break the item lock now, I'll have 2 Charmanders. I'll have a Charmander, a Charmeleon, the Pidgeotto. I think I can bench another Pidgey as well. And so, like, he can keep item locking me, but then I'll start, evolving my Pidgeot or my Charizard with Dawn on the following turn. And if he decides to start attacking, then I have Candy plus Charizard and Candy plus Pidgeot available as options as well. So I think this is really good. And I decide to keep the Charmeleon in the active this time as opposed to trying to retreat it, because I know if he plays Secret Box to get the Stadium Bump, which he does right here, I know the Stadium Bump is just going to be really, really bad for me if I have a Pokemon in the active that I would not want on my bench. So it's really important to keep in mind what your opponent is capable of doing on their next turn and what you would be willing to discard. So this is actually a great opportunity for me to get rid of the Fan Rotom, the Noctowl that I've already used, and at this point I realize I don't actually need the Terapagos in play anymore. I can just Dawn for Charizard to get the Terra that I would need. My hand is really good. I saw him grab Lily off the Secret Box as well, so I'm not getting Ionoed, which means the Candy, the Charizard, and the Iono, Pidgeot, and the boss in my hand are going to stay, which is really, really important. So now I can get pretty aggressive again, set up my Pidgeot, and honestly, since I saw him Candy the Gardevoir on turn 1, it's probably going to be really hard for him to make another Candy Gardevoir, so I think it makes sense to just could knock out the Gardevoir here. But the other thing I was thinking is, what if I just limit the Monkey Dories that he has in play? So I believe I go for the Monkey Dory knockout here and just like set up like Dusclops and stuff, because if he doesn't get multiple Monkey Dories in play, then it'll be like way harder for him to set up like a Devo line or go like Mew EX plus double Monkey to knock out my Charizard. And honestly, like, I don't really care about the Gardevoir at the moment because his board is just like not really well developed at all. So yeah, I can like knock out the Monkey this turn. If he benches another Monkey, we can deal with that. Or and then if he doesn't bench another Monkey, the following turn I can go for Snore Plus, knock out Gardevoir EX, and then board wipe on the following turn. So that was my idea here. He decides to go back into Frillish here and also benches a third Ralts because he does see the line here. And now there's another Monkey established as well. There's also a Psychic on that Monkey. So if his Gardevoir does get knocked out, he can potentially at least go into a Mind Bend or something with one manual attachment. So yeah, he's just setting up a little bit in case his Gardevoir goes down. Gets a Kirlia as well. So at this point, I think I don't even care about the Gardevoirs, and I'm just committed to going for removing all of his Monkey Dories from play. So I think that's kind of what I'm going for here. So the quick search, I think we can just like, yeah. What I'm debating here is like, do I just like go for, I have the option here to go for Candy Dusknoir, just evolve Dusknoir plus Boss Knockout Gardevoir, and then I can remove Curlia and Gardevoir and do the same thing where I force him to have Candy Gardevoir again. But I think it just like makes more sense to knock out the Monkey Dory here, and I can still boss the Gardevoir if I want as well. However, as we learned in the previous game, not having a boss at the end of the game can be pretty difficult, so I think it makes more sense to remove the Frillish and the Monkey Dory, so I don't get item locked any further, and leaving Joseph with only one monkey per turn just makes his deck function a lot worse, because he's playing 4 monkeys and he wants to be using all of those monkeys every single turn as much as possible. So yeah, I go down to 3 prize cards now. I think it's already really difficult for him. He can do a similar play where he goes in with Diancie, Counter Catcher, knock out my Pidgeot and Ionomi, and then make it hard for me to come back from there. But I believe actually his Mega Diancie EX is prized, and he's checking his deck and realizes it's not there currently, I think. So this does make it a little bit awkward for him, and we spend quite some time on this turn, so I think I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. But yeah, we're trying to figure out what the best play here is, and I think we realized there's not really a good play for him with the current board state. And so now I'm like really happy with my decision to have KO the monkeys instead of the Gardevoirs. So he goes in with the Scream Tail here and decide to just load it up. I think we talked about like maybe trying to set up for Pidgey board wipe or the Hoodoos or where to put the damage, but ultimately without the Monkey Dories you can't really set up those plays as easily anyway. So yeah, I think we settle for just put some damage, and now that I'm not item locked, I don't have much to worry about here. The top deck Prime Catcher is actually not that good for me because I wanted to discard my top deck so I could make get Noctowl, but actually it's still fine because now I can keep the Prime Catcher. I discard the Pidgeot and I realize I can get Catcher, Night Stretcher plus Rare Candy, and I can evolve the second Pidgeot here in case the other one gets knocked out, and use the Prime Catcher to knock out Gardevoir. I got on to 1 prize card, and now both of my Pidgeots have 1 energy on them in case one of them gets knocked out. I still have an attacker. And actually, now that I'm watching this play back, I'm not sure why I split the energies on my Pidgeot. I actually could have just attached the Jet to the Pidgeot that already had a fire energy on it, and if he knocks out my Charizards, then I have the Pidgeot to take my last prize card, and if he knocks out my Pidgeot, then the Charizard's still there, and I have another Pidgeot in place. So yeah, I didn't need to split the energies here because now I need to find boss and another energy to close out this game, whereas I could have just needed a boss with a quick search. Another play this loses to is the Counter Catcher Noctowl plus TM Devo, and in order for this to happen, he does need Gardevoir EX plus Double Monkey and TM Devo, and he could have guaranteed it by playing an Arven, but he actually misplayed because he didn't have enough damage on board to make this play happen. He only has 20 on the Scream Tail and 40 on the Monkey Dory, but if he had overloaded 1 extra energy the turn before, if his Gardevoir got knocked out, he could have had 30 on the Scream Tail and 30 on the Monkey Dory to move to my Pidgeotto and take a KO on both my Pidgeotto and my Charmeleon, and TM Devo away the Pidgeot that I just evolved. But instead, he can't because he Ionoed and didn't get the Gardevoir EX. So unfortunately, he does concede.
Hi folks, Sable here from Project Artemis. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsor Heavy Play for sponsoring the team and showcase off a few of their wonderful products that they make. Starting off, we have their deck box RFG Max. This is a wonderful little magnetic deck box, flip alcove with a picture display for you to showcase your favorite card. We also have their Dice Box RFG. What's nice about this is it magnetizes to itself, so that is not moving. You don't have to worry about like accidentally knocking over your dice tray or anything. It also magnetizes to deck box. Their full system is entirely magnetic, so you can dice box to dice box, deck box to deck box, deck box to dice box here. And even going one step further, they have a foldable magnetized playmat. So instead of rolling things up, this folds up nice and flat. You can throw it in your backpack real easy. and then your dice box also will magnetize to it. Keep your dice box on there. Keep it on your playmat nice and flat there in the corner, and that thing is not moving. Once again, we just want to say thank you to Heavy Play. If you're interested in any of the products seen here, please go to heavyplay.com/Artemis or use code Artemis at checkout for 10% off your order. They have red, blue, black, white, gray, green, purple, a whole bevy of colors in their entire suite for you to use to your heart's content. We really do recommend you checking out their product. Anyway, back to the video.
All right, so getting into game number 3 here, I am going first, and just want to take a second to talk about the matchup in general. So specifically against Joseph's deck, I know that he has only one Frillish, and he doesn't play anything like Air Balloon or Latias to retreat into the Frillish reliably on turn 2. So it's actually, I think, better for me to be going first in this matchup because it's really unlikely for him to item lock me turn 2. And if I go first, I have way more potential to get a Candy Pidgeot established and start setting up board way stronger. And potentially even attack turn 2 with this attachment on the Terrapagos. So this is definitely where things start to get interesting because this has been on the time I've been able to attack with the Terrapagos potentially on my first turn going second. Or on my second turn when I'm going first. Yeah, but in general, I do think that against most other Gardevoir decks, we actually do want to be going second, I think, because the majority of Gardevoir players are playing the 2 Frillish and Jellicent EX with an Air Balloon or Latias in order to get into it almost every time when they're going second. So definitely keep an eye on that. If you think you are playing against a Gardevoir but you don't know what type of Gardevoir, I think going blind second is preferred. But yeah, against Joseph specifically, it makes a lot of sense for me to go first here. And I didn't even need to put the Charmander in play on turn 1 because I had the attachment on the Terrapagos. So I know that I can just start attacking and worry about setting up the Charizard towards the end of the game. So Terrapagos is actually like a really, really good card in this matchup. And just like being able to start Terrapagos and attach to it twice is just lets you set up so many way better board states because you can let the Terrapagos keep swinging even if they're trying to item lock you, and also they can knock out your Charmander with the Scream Tail, but then you just knock it out with the Terrapagos and worry about getting it back later. So yeah, definitely love the Terrapagos in the active here. It's the first time I've been able to do it in the series so far, but as you'll see in this game, it's actually quite good. And on this turn, I get extremely lucky that Joseph's hand was probably really, really bad, and he decides to go for a Team Evo on double Kirlia instead of item locking me further. Which means that I can go for an extremely broken Candy Dusknoir play and potentially just board wipe both the Ralts immediately, and that's exactly what I'm going for here. Dusknoir the first Kirlia, and then I can prime KO the other Kirlia with my Terrapagos and leave Joseph with nothing but a Frillish and a Munkidori while I set up my board even further. So now I get double Charmeleon, or I get Charmeleon and a Charmander down, so if I get item locked I can still make a Charizard. I get another Duskull down for later, and if he bumps to Stadium, I have only exactly what I want left on my board. A Terrapagos to attack with, Charmeleon, a Duskull, a Hoodoo, and another Charmander, and my beautiful Pidgeot EX to get me whatever I want. So yeah, this is extremely tough. I think Joseph is just like doesn't have anything right now. He has a Turbo Energize attached to the Frillish he can go for if he chooses, but yeah, it doesn't even have Dark or anything like that. And actually, I'm pretty sure I'm able to just wipe both these Ralts once again. So with the Candy in my hand, I can get Dawn oh yeah, Night Stretcher off of the Noctowl, Candy, Night Stretcher, Dusknoir, knock out the Ralts, and then boss the other Ralts and knock out that one, while I also make a Charizard. So if I get Iono, I have 2 less Fire Energies in my deck, and I have double attackers in play and a Pidgeot, so I can't even get Devoed, and I have game because there's no damage on my Charizard. So yeah, I think this one's wraps. Joseph concedes, and we're starting to realize this matchup might be a little bit tough for Gardevoir if they don't turn to Frillish. Love the aggressive potential of this deck for sure. getting into game number 4 here. Joseph is going first, and I top deck a Terapagos. I would have loved to have started the Terapagos in the active. As we saw last game, it was really effective at getting a strong lead. With the energy in my hand, would have been great, but unfortunately, we don't have Jet or anything like that, so I will still bench the Terapagos in case I got Ionoed, so that way if I draw Noctowl, I can have a Terra already in play. And I have to decide what I'm going to get off this Poffin here. I go for a Charmander, Fan Rotom, of course, and then since I already have another Hoodoo in my hand, I just grab the Pidgeotto for next turn in case I get item lock. Actually, I can't get item lock because he didn't attach energy, so I know that I'm like safe actually, but I still grab the Pidgeotto because I don't have anything else that I'd want to bench. I don't have room for it. And this is a little bit weird for me. I don't know why I attached the fire to the Hoodoo. I mean, the idea I can retreat and then potentially attack with Fan Rotom on the following turn. But actually, I think I should have attached the fire to Terapagos. That way, if I get Iono and I draw a Jet, or I can Candy Pidgeot and Jet, I can take a knockout on the active no matter what it is. Instead, now I have a Hoodoo with a fire energy, and I have to draw like Jet energy and hope that Joseph still has a Ralts in play in order, and then I also have to boss in order to take a knockout. Whereas I could have just had the 2 energies on the Terapagos. So yeah, we're gonna be 2 turns behind on the attack now, or 1 turn behind on the attack when I could have been. Instead, I go for the Jet boss on the Ralts. I think Joseph maybe shouldn't have benched the Ralts, and I think I told this in the moment that if he can't, if I don't have energies in play, I can't like take any prize cards next turn. But with the Noctowl, I could. But I just had the boss in my hand after the Iono, so we decided to go for that. But now I still can't attack with Terapagos, so my board is like really undeveloped. And also, I just like didn't draw any outs to Noctowl off the Iono. 3 Noctowl, an Ultra Ball, or 4 Dons. There's so many ways I could have drawn a way to get Candy Pidgeot that turn, but because I didn't, now I'm going to be really far behind. And Joseph's gonna go crazy with his secret box and just like get a bunch of stuff set up, and it's gonna be a little bit difficult for me to do anything. I'm basically like hoping on top deck here, and now I have just a bunch of items in my hand, and I'm not even item locked, but they're all useless. I can't play anything. I don't have Area 0, so I can't play my Poffin or my Nestball. I can't candy anything because there's no evolutions in my hand. So it's a little bit silly here, giving him some time, but so yeah, now he can set up quite well. I think he goes for Turbo Energize this turn. I think he can even make Gardevoir and start moving damage onto my side of the board. So yeah, here comes Candy Gardevoir. Double Monkey Dory already established. Starts loading up energies. We can go into move 30, knock out my energy, plus item lock me. So now I'm in a terrible, terrible spot. I do have, however, a second fire energy, and I can knock out this Frillish, but with the way Joseph's board is developing now, I don't think it's going to be enough to keep up with. So I can get like another Pidgey here, or like Hoodoo or something off this Arter Pidgey, but no matter what I grab, Joseph has the option to like KO whichever birds I want to put down. So he can double monkey KO my Pidgey and then Scream Tail the other Pidgey, or if I got the Hoodoo, he'd do the same thing on the Hoodoo and the Pidgey. I think he's a little bit short of KOing my Charmander and my Charmeleon, but I think it's still plenty fine for him. He's already going to be down to at least 3 prize cards at the end of this turn, and I won't even have a Pidgeot or any Noctowls in play. So I'm literally just going to be playing Terapagos with no support. And no Dusknors either in play. It's just really cooked here. And yeah, he just starts loading up the energies, getting a lot of damage in play. Triple Monkey Dory, and I think he's just like deciding whether he wants to like spread more damage to the Charmanders or my Terapagos with the extra Monkey Dories, and he has to like decide where to put the energies so they don't get like trapped if he's like putting human energies in play. But I think he decides to just like knock out all my birds and goes down to 2 prize cards, and there's like pretty much 0 way I'm going to come back from this. Even if I make a Charizard here, there's like next turn he can just knock out my Terapagos. If I retreat it, he can't knock it out actually because it's a Terra, so he can't Scream Tail the bench. my hand is so bad I can't even make a Charizard. So the only way I can come back from this would be Candy Charizard, I love the other Charizard, like Retreat and like Iono maybe. But unfortunately I have to like try to Fez to get the Iono, and if I do that, I'm going to be putting Fez in play, which just gives him a free Scream Tail target. So I think it's pretty cooked. And at this point with the one Trapagos in play, I might as well just like put more, just like thin my deck and get all the Pokemon out, and then flip the script, try and get Iono or Charizard or something, and well, we do have Noctowl, but that's not going to be enough since we just benched that Hoodoo. So yep, just gonna pack it up. We'll go next. Really cool showing by Joseph to see the power explosiveness of his deck with all the Monkey Dories. Definitely something to be worried about once it gets set up. Getting into our fifth and final game of the series here. Joseph did start with a mulligan, so I do get to take an extra card, and he's going to be going first this time. And we both start our ideal starters, but when I start my ideal starter, it's actually worse for him because my Trapagos can start dealing with the Frillish way faster than he can slow me down. So with the energy in my hand, I'm feeling pretty good. Joseph has a pretty good start. He gets to discard the Diancie, so I know that he didn't prize it this game. Definitely something to keep in mind, and I know what it is, so it's a good knowledge to be aware that he'll need to Night Stretcher or Super Rod to get it back later. But he gets some energies attached to Frillish, and now it's my turn. I have like a bunch of really good cards in my hand. I have the Area 0, but I think I'm going to hold it because I know he can play Secret Box and just bump it immediately, and I wouldn't get as much value out of it. It's usually better to hold the Stadium for when I can evolve to a Noctowl. That way, if the Stadium gets bumped, I can remove the Noctowls from play, versus if I just bench a bunch of Hoodoos right now and then the Stadium gets bumped, I didn't actually get to utilize them and get my value out of them. Yeah, going to be holding on to that Stadium. And I know for sure I'm getting item locked next turn, so I definitely want to get the Pidgeotto down. That way next turn, I get the Pidgeotto with the Fan Rotom into my hand. That way if I can turn Dawn next turn, I can go Dawn for a Charmeleon, and now I'll have Pidgeotto and Charmeleon. But if I didn't get it, I'd have to Dawn for only one of them. So we get Detachment on Trapagos. Feeling pretty good. I'm just really hoping he doesn't disrupt me, because it's probably going to be kind of unlikely for me to draw into an energy. If I get Iono to attack with the Trapagos, and energy, quick search for it if I'm getting item locked. So yeah, we're really hoping we're not getting Iono'd here, or if we do that, we can draw the energy. But he doesn't Iono disrupt our hands, which is really great for us because we don't lose the Pidgeotto. And actually, since I already have the Stadium in my hand, I'm not even sure what to grab off the second trainer from the Jewel Seeker. So I'm debating between second Dawn and just another item to use on the following turn. But I think I end up going for Boss, and unfortunately my storage on my camera did run out, so we lost a little bit of the footage of the game here, but I can fill you guys in real quick. So basically what happened was I Dawned and I grabbed the Duskull and I put the Hoodoo down on my bench after playing Area 0. I knock out the Frillish, then Joseph gets the Frillish back. He item locks me one more turn. So now we have 40 on my Trapagos, and he also bumped my Stadium. So I got to get rid of my Fan Rotom, the Noctowl that I used, and now we are left with all these Pokemon. And looks like he went for a, was able to get 2 monkeys down and then goes Counter Catcher and knocks out my Pidgeot with the Diancie. So we're in a little bit of a weird spot here because we can't knock out the Diancie. However, we do have Dusknoir. So now I'm thinking really hard here because I have 2 or 3 different plays that I can make here. Number one, we can just knock out the Diancie, go down to 1 prize card, using the Dusknoir on the active and Charizard to take the KO. Because even if I put Joseph down to 3 prize cards, because of Diancie's ability where it reduces 30 damage, I'm still only doing 270. Well, I'm doing 240 to the Diancie because of the ability. So I can't actually take 4 prizes this turn. The other play I can make is to Dusknoir one of the monkeys and knock out Pheasantipity or Gardevoir EX, go down to 1 prize card and leave the Diancie in play. But since he has 2 Gardevoir EXs, it doesn't really make sense. So the best play I think I can come up with here is just knock out one of the Monkey Dories off the bench with Dusknoir and then KO another Monkey Dory. And now I go down to 2 prize cards. However, there's pretty much all 2-prize Pokemon in play for Joseph, and by removing the Monkey Dories, it'll be extremely hard for him to make a 3-prize turn on the following turn, so he won't be able to knock out my Hoothoot and something like my Pheasantipity and all those monkeys. And this puts me in like a really good position here, because now with my current hand, I have game, but if he Ionos me and doesn't take a knockout, I still have a lot of outs to draw Noctowl, which can get me Boss's Orders and take my last 2 prize cards with Charizard. But if he leaves my Hoothoot in play, like he can't really leave my Hoothoot in play because it's like really easy for me to draw Noctowl and get Boss. And if he takes a knockout, I have Pheasantipity so that I'll get +3, and then I'll also probably have a pretty good chance of finding it. One thing I actually messed up here on that last turn was my sequence. I thought I was gonna have to play Dawn in order to make that play happen, but actually with the Pheasantipity, I drew into like all the pieces I needed plus more. So with the Noctowl, I should have grabbed Boss's Orders. That way, on the following turn, I can use Dawn to find Noctowl to find Prime Catcher, but instead now I have to find Boss's Orders, so it's actually a little bit worse for me. So I shouldn't have played that Prime Catcher, but I think it'll still be okay. So like, yeah, he can knock out my Pheasantipity and Iono me, but the Hoothoot like guarantees Boss's Orders, whereas if he knocks out Hoothoot, then I have Fez, which is a little bit less likely. But yeah, I think it's actually like a really difficult position for him, and we were both trying to come up with a play that would be the best here, but we couldn't really think of anything solid. I think ultimately we decided that he needed to Iono and KO the Hoothoot, because if you Iono and don't take a knockout off 2 cards, I have like a lot of outs to draw. 2 Boss's Orders, 2 Noctowls, and a Briar as well. And I didn't even realize that Briar was a win condition if he knocks out the Hoothoot, but yeah, that did come up. And also another really important thing I wanted to highlight is the KOing the double monkeys is even more important when you realize that I can bench a Duskull this turn and then have like another out to win. Like I can Night Stretcher or Super Rod for Dusknoir or Dusclops, and if I didn't knock out both or all of the Monkey Dories that turn, then Duskull is not an option, and yeah, that just opens up so many lines for me to win. Looks like he actually was unable to find an Iono to disrupt me this turn, which means he's definitely gonna lose to my many types of game in hand currently. So yeah, we finished the set going 4-1 against Joseph's Gardevoir deck. Very informative testing session for both of us here. I think this is a pretty favored matchup is what we've come to the conclusion. This Donzard versus Gardevoir, although maybe it gets a little bit worse if they're playing Double Frillish, Jellicent, and they're able to start item locking. But I think it really just comes down to if you're able to get the Trapagos going and you can start swinging, it really doesn't matter if you're getting item locked. So yeah, we'll have to do some more testing before Toronto. But yeah, thanks so much to Joseph for helping me test this matchup. I definitely learned a lot, and I hope you guys learned something too, or if not, at least had fun watching this gameplay. If you guys like this type of tabletop content, please let us know in the comments. I'd love to make more if you guys are interested, or if there's any other matchups you want to see, please let me know as well. But for now, hope you guys have a great day. Shout out Project Artemis, and see you in the next one.